Post-match chat is live. It's the end of the series. India have done it. They have closed out the series 3-2. They have defeated England in a high-scoring encounter to win the series 3-2. They lost the toss again. They had to bat first again. They put on a total 225, huge score. 224, I beg your pardon. England, they started very, very well. In fact, for 12 overs, I'm going to say, the game was theirs until things changed drastically. And there were many, many players that we're going to talk about today. Many, many plays we're going to talk about today. Very exciting match. Congratulations to India to break it all down, the series and the match. I'm very pleased to be joined, as always, by my friends Anam Nadeem, Armaan Kirmani, and our very, very special guest today, Anushka Arora. Welcome to the show, Anushka, our resident Indian fan. First of all, congratulations to you. How are you feeling about a big win over?
I'm actually, I feel very happy because I think, like you said, just like in the beginning, it was actually England's match. And I was like, I actually thought, okay, do you know what? I'm just going to switch it off now. And I'm just going to just leave it. Emotions were getting the best of me, as they always do in a cricket match, regardless whoever we're playing against. But I think India picked up momentum very quickly. We just picked up the wickets and then that was it. It was ours. And then obviously we knew we were going to win. So I think we had some really nice highlights in the game as well, actually. I think my favourite had to be Chris Jordan, where he caught that amazing catch at the boundary whilst he was running single hand. And then, of course, he had the presence of mind to throw it to Jason Roy as he was about to cross the boundary. But I think that was fantastic, though. Brilliant.
It really was. And it was a very exciting game, as you say. I think this is the difficulty when you're chasing high totals. That run rate, even if you're following it for 10, 15 overs, it's very hard to do it across all 20. But we'll get into that. We've got Anushka's moment of the day as well. Unprompted. What a great game. ये होता है ना guest तैयार होके आता है, सीधा जवाब मिलता है. Okay, let's get it. Let's get your moments of the days. Armaan is back today on the show after an absence of one show. So, Armaan, what was your moment of the day today?
Oh, without doubt, it's not the moment of the day, it was the moment of the series. So, 10 overs into the second innings, the match is tied. England are batting at the run rate, and Kohli's looking a little bit stressed. What's going on? The bowlers can't restrict this. We've got to win 3-2. We're at Ahmedabad. He's calling a team meeting. The England batsmen look tense. And then all of a sudden, the speaker in the stadium starts blasting a song from 1994, the film called Khuddar. Govinda is there.
Oh my God, yes.
Sexy, mujhe log bole. And then, out of nowhere, India restrict the run rate, don't concede a boundary for the next 4 overs. Game, set, match, India 3-2. What a moment. You can't beat that, I bet you.
Wow. So what you were basically saying is the man of the match was Karishma Kapoor.
No, Anu Malik. Hero of today's Indian victory.
What I remember of that video is Karishma Kapoor, but never mind. Yeah, it's a nice track, and a nice moment as well. We've got a stunning catch on the boundary. We've got soundtracks affecting the game. Anam Nadeem, the voice of reason. Give me something.
अब एक ही चीज बचती है, लड़ाई मार धड़ाई, मतलब एंटी मोमेंट ऑफ द मैच. बटलर आउट हुआ है, कोहली को मुझे नहीं पता क्या हुआ है, मतलब किसी को भी नहीं पता. एवरीवन ऑन ट्विटर वाज लाइक व्हाट हैपेंड बिटवीन कोहली एंड बटलर, लाइक हुआ क्या है. एंड इवन आई वांट टू नो, मैन, हुआ क्या है भाई. बटलर ने आपको क्या बोला है? कोहली इतना एनिमेटेड क्यों था बटलर के आउट होने पे? आई नो इट वाज अ वेरी क्रूशियल विकेट एट दैट जंक्चर, पार्टनरशिप टूट रही थी, बट स्टिल इतना वो वाला क्या सीन था कि बटलर को आप घर तक छोड़ने के लिए तैयार हो के आओ, मैं तुम्हें घर छोड़ के आता हूँ, सब कुछ. What was going on, man?
But it followed him a very long way as he went off the pitch.
Yeah.
And, a lot of the commentators referenced that it's not a great look for the captain of the team to be engaging. And he kind of continued with the umpires as well. I mean, at the risk of sounding like I'm making excuses for Virat Kohli, I'm going to say that, adrenaline, big game, pressure, big wicket, you take it, I think it's almost the bowlers or the bowling team's prerogative to give the send-off. You're a batsman, you're out, you walk away, right? Joss has had, Joss is a lovely guy, very mild-mannered generally, but he has said words when he's needed to on a pitch, right? I guess we won't know. Eventually somebody will talk about it. We'll find out a little bit more. Great moment, though. I think I'm going to pick a very dull moment compared to it's about the match, like actual cricket, unbelievably, right? And it's David Malan. There were loads of shots of his that I really enjoyed. There was a cover drive he played early doors. And, when you think about the Indian innings, Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, Pandya, they all batted so well, so many gorgeous shots. But for me, the shot of the day was David Malan, all the way along the ground, cover drive, just leaned into it. Perfect balance on that lush green surface. And what you saw when they showed the replay on the cricket, on the live broadcast, you could see the ball going along the surface, and you get these little flicks of dew going up in the air, right? It looks so beautiful and poetic. I loved it. It was a great innings as well from Milan, and we'll talk about him. But guys, let's go right back to the start of the day. Armaan, I'm going to come to you here. Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli opening the bat team. KL Rahul, the world number 4 batsman, been vividly, worldly out of form recently, and so he's been dropped. So India play an extra bowler and play Virat Kohli opening. What did you make of that? Before it started, what did you make of that? Good or bad choice?
Oh, superb choice. What they basically did was invite England to their home and say, come on, you guys think you're the best white ball team in the world. We're going to fiddle around with our batting lineup. We're going to bring in some youngsters. They're going to score a 50. Then we're going to drop them. We're going to play seamers when we should be playing spinners. And we're going to let you win 2 out of the 4 games. And then we're going to come to the final. We're going to take King Kohli back to his opening spot. We're going to get Sharma to actually start scoring some runs. We're going to play 2 spinners. You've got no chance. So as I predicted, and you know this because I talked to you at the beginning of the game, they're just going to consolidate for 10 overs, and then they're going to start hitting from over number 11. That's exactly what they did. If that our new Sky, SKY, if that brother had not got out, 250 would have been on today. That's not an exaggeration. England was so poor in the field. India was so superbly ahead with the bat. This was a domination by the Indian team in terms of tactics, in terms of balance in the team, in terms of home wicket, strategy, and also the psychology of a series. Bring people over, make them feel comfortable, make them feel like they've got a chance, destroy them in the final. Every Indian fan knows that this was going to happen. And you know what? They duped everybody. 3-2, England are going home.
Well, I've got to remind you at this point that you also predicted that England would win the series 5-0 at the very start of the game. So you'll trust me. I'm going to give a pinch of salt on those predictions.
My Indian fans that are watching the show, not my fans, the fans of the show know I'm a Pakistani supporter. It would be not right of me to ever predict an Indian victory. So anytime India plays, it's going to be 0. But India at home should never ever lose in white ball cricket. They got King Kohli, King Sharma, King Ashwin. Pata nahi kaun se king hai. You know what? 3-2, deserved victory. Brilliant by India today.
Yeah, you know who predicted?
Hi, Armaan, itni tareef, मेरे दिल खुश हो गया.
Abhi kar raha hu. Abhi wait for the second half. Picture abhi baaki nahi.
Yeah, don't worry.
बाद लाइन जाने के उसके बाद जब खत्म हो जाएगा वो भी.
Yeah, Adam, tell me, Armaan says consolidating. I mean, they had 100 runs after 10 overs, which doesn't feel like consolidating. It feels like a pretty decent score. I don't think England bowled particularly badly. I really don't. I just think India showed a little bit more ingenuity today. What did you make of that performance? Was it a case, Anam, of India batting exceptionally well, or was it a case of England bowling a little bit poorly, not quite sticking to the plan? What did you think went wrong there?
I think a bit of both. शर्मा ने जिस तरह से शुरू में बैटिंग की है, कोहली वाज अ स्पेक्टेटर, दूसरे एंड पे देख रहा है शर्मा मारी जा रहा है, और हम यही बोल रहे थे फेंटा इज द राइट वर्ड, क्योंकि जो इंटेंट से इंडिया जब बैटिंग कर रहा था वो इंटेंट हमें बेशक मलान और बटलर की पार्टनरशिप में हम लोगों को उस तरह का इंटेंट नहीं नजर आया जो इंडिया की बैटिंग में था. So I think it's a bit of both, and also we need to emphasize on this fact that India were willing to make changes in their team, in their playing 11. England were very reluctant. मुझे नहीं पता क्यों आज भी उन्होंने they persisted with Sam Curran. शायद अगर एक और bowling option उनके पास different होती, मोइन अली होता, batting option भी थोड़ी बेहतर होती. So it's उनकी selection भी थोड़ी सी जो है ना under the radar आनी चाहिए कि why were England reluctant to experiment with their playing 11, whereas India were very flexible in choosing their playing 11. KL Rahul didn't perform. चलो आप बाहर बैठो, कोहली है वो ओपन करेगा, and they strengthened their bowling as well. 6 bowlers खिला लिया. So difference था. इंग्लैंड के पास एक restricted approach थी. सैम करन से सिर्फ 1 ओवर कराया. उस पे भी आपका पूछना हमारा बनता है कि भाई सैम करन क्यों था टीम में, क्या कर रहा था?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially, Anam, when you think about Adil Rashid, who was the most economical of the bowlers today by far. I mean, Jordan went for 50 plus. Archer went for 50 plus. Wood went for 50 plus. Like, they all really struggled today, the England seamers. It would have been helpful to have another spin bowler to throw the ball to. But, you know, I don't know which bowling attack was going to survive that onslaught from Surya Kumar Yadav. The young man, Anushka, in his second innings. He's played one game before where he didn't bat, but his second innings already showing glimpses of greatness. You know, here's a kid who comes straight into the team. He's hitting 6s for fun. He's hitting 4s for fun, not afraid of anybody. This guy is exciting. This could be the next big star of Indian cricket. What do you make of Kumar Yadav?
I definitely agree with you on that one. Like I said, he's just come in. He's played so fearlessly, and you can see it. He's got so much confidence, and I think that is what the Indian cricket team is made up of. These youngsters, they just come in and they just play their hearts out. And I think he does look like he's won a ticket to the World Cup for the T20. So I think that should be very, very exciting for him. But I think aside from that, like Armaan and Anam mentioned earlier, like, you know, Kohli and Rohit, Kohli's a run machine. He let Rohit just do his thing, and I think that's the beauty of these players. They just let the players do their thing, which is really, really nice. And I think you know, once everyone, or once our cricketers do depart, it's like Kohli likes to take charge again, and he likes to just kind of fix it all up, and then that's how the team effort comes in, I feel. But, you know, back to Suryakumar Yadav, I think he was just fantastic. Honestly, he was really, really good.
Definitely, yeah. You can really see that IPL training coming through. These youngsters chomping at the bit to come in and take a spot in that batting line. And only Suryakumar Yadav and Ishan Kishan, we mentioned this previous show, only two batsmen to have been given debuts in the Indian T20 side in the last 3 years. It's unbelievable how strong that team is. But when you think about Suryakumar Yadav and you think about Kohli, right? Armaan, you had some words for Kohli's strike rate in the previous game. He top scored today, 80 of 50, opening the batting, so he had access to more of the innings. I think you're the guy who might take this angle. I don't think a lot of people will, but I think you might, right? Is it possible that Kohli cost India some runs today?
100% that I believe that Kohli needs to bat with a stronger strike rate. I know the theory behind him. You know what? He's consolidating. He's letting everyone bat around him. Come the World Cup, when they get tougher challenges, like they had earlier on in this series, when they come up against the Pakistan, the New Zealand, the West Indies, by not having that strike rate high enough earlier on in the innings, they will be short of 10 to 15 to 20 runs, which he needs to take the risk, because India have batting all the way down. Anyone in the last 4 or 5 overs can swing the bat. So ultimately, and you know, some people say, you know what, other batsmen just play for their stats. If you think about it, that's kind of what Kohli is doing when he's saying, you guys bat around and I'll just bat through the innings. Yeah, you can justify and bring the narrative when you win the game and say anchored. The day you lose the game, it will be on him. So, you know, the jury's still out for me in terms of his strike rate, but you cannot fault the greatest batsman of this era. He's won the series at home under a lot of pressure after the Australian series in the Test. He's now done it in the T20s. And who's going to bet against India? You'd be a crazy person to do that against the one day. So when he has a clean sweep, I'm sorry, anyone who wants to criticize him, you're going to have to come up with a lot to back it up, because Kohli right now is returning to his throne.
Now, I'm not sure I agree with all that, but I do acknowledge the theory that Virat Kohli, at the death in particular, we got 3-4 overs to go on him. And, you know, he's played out a few dot balls. They hit the death of his innings as well. I know he still accelerates in the third part of his innings, you know, the way they break it down, strike rates now, first 10, next 10, 20 plus, right? And he accelerates just like everybody else does. And we'll talk about David Malan in a second. But what do you make of that? Do you think Kohli as anchor is justified as like having a slightly lower strike rate than everybody around him, if he's got the luxury of like a Suryakumar Yadav and Ishan Kishan, Rohit Sharma in form as he was today? What do you think? What do you make of the Kohli situation?
याद हो अगर हम लोगों ने उस मैच में बात की थी जब कोहली को एंकर रोल प्ले करना पड़ा था, सारी विकेट्स गिर रही थी उसके इर्द गिर्द, एंड उस दिन आई डिड सपोर्ट हिज इनिंग्स एज वेल कि हाँ उस दिन जरूरत थी, क्योंकि अगर कोहली उस दिन आउट हो जाता तो एक रिस्पेक्टेबल सो कॉल्ड रिस्पेक्टेबल टोटल ना बनता. आज सीन बिल्कुल डिफरेंट था. आज एवरीबडी वाज गोइंग क्रेजी विद द बैट, एंड आई थिंक कोहली शुड हैव हैड दैट लग्जरी एज वेल कि यार इट डजंट मैटर, मतलब अगर मैं आउट भी हो जाता हूं इन द प्रोसेस, बट आई नीड टू गो बिग और गो होम वाला सीन होना चाहिए था उसके लिए भी. सो या कहीं ना कहीं डाउन द लाइन आई थिंक है ये थोड़ा सा मसला. आई डोंट नो इंडियन फैंस जब बाद में हमें क्या बोलेंगे इस पे, बट इट्स नथिंग अगेंस्ट कोहली, बट आई थिंक थोड़ा सा अरमान ने जिस तरह उस दिन बोला था, आपका एक ऐसा बैट्समैन, द ग्रेटेस्ट एवर वाइट बॉल प्लेयर, तो थोड़ा सा और स्ट्रेच अगर वो कर ले अपनी एबिलिटी को, तो आई डोंट नो और कितना आगे जा सकते हैं हम. कोहली की रन मेकिंग मशीन जो है वो और कितना तेज चल सकती है.
Yeah,
so yeah, maybe. I
think it was definitely worth mentioning that, because I know there's a lot of people who feel strongly about that. India could have got more, but still 224 is not to be sniffed at. Huge total. Anushka, take me through your fan mentality. You got 224 at the halfway mark. Are you feeling confident, or is a little part of you worried that this England batting lineup can make this happen?
Well, see, that's the thing. There's so many mixed emotions. Like, first you sit there when the match starts, you predict, like you ask everyone around you, your family, your friends, and you're just like, okay, fine, what's the predictions? And our predictions were like 220, 200, 220. So when we did get that run rate, we were just like, okay, fine, we feel a little bit comfortable. But again, with a T20 match, you just don't know which way it's going to go. And especially when you look at the IPL tournament as a whole, it is like these matches just go whatever way. I mean, you have like 6 6s flying around. You've just got, it's just random numbers that are coming out and, random records that are being broken. So I was just like, okay, just be calm a little bit and just, let's just take it easy. But again, like I said earlier, the first 10-12 overs, I was like, this, jeeta hua game haar rahe hain. Literally, like, we're just giving the game away. And I'm like, what is this going on? But again, with T20, you can get your quick wickets. You get one wicket and then like 3, 4, 5, 6. By the time you know it, yeah, here we are sitting at India 1. So I think the mentality for a T20 is very different as opposed to like, a one-day international or a test series. But having said that, the test series, just the recent tournament was really, really exciting. But again, like with a T20 match, like you just don't know what's going to happen. Either wickets are going to fall really quickly, lots of runs are being made. But I think the 224 was a comfortable score. But then you look at England as well. England are a fantastic team. They're a great T20 team, no doubt about it. And the opposing team has to be really good in order to fight them. And I think Kohli mentioned that in one of his interviews, after the match. I think it was the last match, and he said that he was like, "Look, England are such a fantastic team," which they are. And you do get scared, and you're just like, "Oh, sitting there, like, which way is it going to go?" But this one was definitely ours. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It started kind of perfectly as well.
Yeah.
Armaan, I mean, when you're defending 224, it's pretty sweet to bowl your first over for 1 run and bowl out Jason Roy.
Yeah.
That's kind of the dream start. We'll go into more detail. Let's try and spread out the Bhuvi love, because there's a lot of love for Bhuvneshwar Kumar today. He bowled an incredible spell. 17 dot balls. But we'll get there. Let's just go through this over bit, right? First over, England immediately on the back foot. Now they've got essentially 194 balls. 194. Getting all my maths wrong here. 114 balls to work with. I mean, that was the dream start for India.
I think it definitely was the dream start, but I think they were helped by some pretty shoddy English tactics as well. I mean, at the mid-game stage, mid-innings break, I did say it didn't make a lot of sense for Roy and Butler to open from my point of view, because although both have very high strike rates, I know that Malan takes his time and Bairstow takes his time. And I said that I wanted at least Malan or Bairstow to go and open so that they had somebody at 4 or 5. Because if that wicket went early, then Malan needs to usually take his time, which he didn't today. Fair enough, he didn't. He went straight away today. But, it could have gone the other way. Same with Bairstow. And so I don't really see who's going to win the game for England once the openers have gone. And it's T20. Anushka said wickets can fall at any time. And they have to fall because it's an attacking form of the game. So ultimately, let's be honest, I think Kohli knew this. I think all the Indian fans knew this. You get Butler out, it's more or less, in India's favour. And that's kind of what happened. Once Butler was gone, I don't think any Indian fan was fearing Morgan, who I don't think has batted all series. Stokes has been outperformed as an all-rounder in this series and has been, frankly, over the last few years. I think there's a lot of pressure on Stokes to perform. He plays all forms of the game. Amazing talent. But unfortunately, Pandya is outperforming him in this series. We're seeing other all-rounders, whether it's Jason Holder for West Indies, whether it's Fahim Ashraf for Pakistan. There's a big question mark for me about how England should use someone as talented as Ben Stokes, because really, in Indian conditions, he's not really hitting it right now. He can't play spin. We saw that in the Test series as well. Now he's bowling, he was very good today with the ball, mind you. But in general, I don't see him being the most potent bowler when you've got the Archers and you've got the Woods. So ultimately, I think England really need to go back again. They didn't play Moeen Ali today. You've got to understand, even India knew that, and I've been saying this on your show every single time, you want to win in India, you've got to play through spinners. England are persistent with pace. You told me a few days ago, oh my God, Archer is so fast and Mark Wood is so fast and this Indian batsman can't play. Peti lagi hai sabko aaj yaar. 220 could have gone for 250. I told you then, and I'm telling you now, you bowl pace at these Indian batsmen, you're going far out of the stadium with the ball. So ultimately, we've got to get the narrative right. England need to get their tactics right. India had a walk in the park today. Shoddy tactics by England. Bhuvi is amazing. By the way, just last really quick point. There was a great thing. You know, they're doing the sound effects with no crowd. There's actually a special sound effect for Bhuvi that goes Bhuvi, Bhuvi, and that was superb. Legend.
Yeah. No, I did say those things about Jofra Archer being very quick and Mark Wood, and I stand by those. Just as you should stand by, you said that England would win 5-0. Anyway, moving swiftly on. Anam Nadeem, what an interesting point there from Armaan about the tactics of England, and this was brought up by the commentators as well. Should they have been a little bit more flexible? The commentators mentioned, they've got a sequence of left-handed batsmen, and Washington Sundar's turning the ball away, and is this something they need to think about? Whereas Owen Morgan, for the most part, is very consistent with his strategy. He's very didactic. He doesn't like to take too much input from people. What's the order is the order. Whereas a lot of people did make the case for Ben Stokes going higher up the order. He's not had a chance to express himself, as Armaan thinks he's not played to his potential. I would argue he's not been given the platform to play to his potential. But what did you make of that? Well, instead of the start, tell me what you made of England's chances after that first over. Did you, before the counter-attack started from England, did you think England have missed a tactical beat there?
हाँ बिल्कुल, क्योंकि मिलान पिछले 4 मैचों में नहीं चला, तब वो धक्का स्टार्ट वाला सीन था कि अच्छा अभी वो रेडी हो रहा था कि हाँ फाइनल मैच में मैं कुछ करूंगा. तो अगर वो आज भी ना चलता तो फिर तो और ब्लंडर होता ना कि उन्होंने मिलान को भेज दिया है जो कि 20 बॉल लेता है पहले सेटल होने के लिए, उसके बाद उसका इंजन स्टार्ट होता है, वो शॉटे लगाना शुरू होता है. सो आई डोंट नो किस चीज का डर है. ये कोई वर्ल्ड कप का फाइनल नहीं था, ये कोई सेमीफाइनल नहीं था. इट वाज जस्ट बायलेटरल सीरीज का वो था, आपका मैच था. तो इसमें एक्सपेरिमेंट करने में इतना मुश्किल क्यों थी इंग्लैंड के लिए, मुझे नहीं समझ आई इस बात की. किस चीज का डर था. बेन स्टोक्स इज लाइक एक जबरदस्त किस्म का ऑलराउंडर है. ठीक है, T20s में थोड़ा सा अगर आपको लगता है कि वो उस तरह से पोटेंशियल उसकी नहीं है, लेकिन आप उसको एक रोल तो दो. आई थिंक केपी ने भी ट्वीट किया हुआ था कुछ इस तरह का कि वो डिसअपॉइंटेड है क्योंकि बेन स्टोक्स का कोई डिफाइंड रोल नहीं नजर आ रहा उसको टीम में. तो मे बी जस्ट प्रमोट हिम अप द ऑर्डर. ये आपके पास इतना अच्छा चांस था, आप उसको ऊपर चांस दे के उसको कुछ तो उसकी पोटेंशियल बाहर निकालते. एंड पे आके उसने क्या करना था. He just had to swing the bat. And I'm even disappointed in Morgan's performance. I had high hopes from Morgan as well. और मुझे नहीं पता कि Morgan का क्या mental block इस वक्त क्या सीन है कि उससे स्कोर नहीं हो सका.
पिछले दोनों मैचेस में Owen Morgan's come in at 15 overs past with exceptionally difficult equations to work.
Yeah, but still, Morgan. We all know this कि Morgan can hit long, right? And from the word go as well. तो फिर Morgan क्यों है वो? इसीलिए Morgan है क्योंकि he can hit from the word go. तो I don't know, as a Morgan fan personally मुझे लगा है कि Morgan, I am a little disappointed in Morgan's form.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are actually, to be fair. Like Owen Morgan, I feel like England are getting they're just getting a little bit of an awkward rhythm with the batting, with the it's natural to think about it when you've got like an incredibly talented batting lineup, Anushka, right? England all the way through. Like you start Jason Roy, you go all the way down to like Curran and even lower with the Archers, and everybody can hit the ball. Everybody's got good strike rates. It's a very impressive lineup, experience, shots, everything. It's very easy to kind of think like, well, this guy's not playing. Why isn't this guy getting more of the action? Sometimes the rhythm of it just goes against you. David Milan, though, is who I want to talk to you about, Anushka. Like, that was a very impressive innings. He's been criticized by everybody. And I'll hold my hand up. I've been amongst the people that have said, well, Milan, I love Milan. He plays for my county, Middlesex. I've got a lot of love for Milan. But, he played for Middlesex, I should say. But now, he's been critiqued by everybody in the world, really, all these tweets. Today, he was trending on Twitter, which is very impressive considering how many people were deleting their tweets about him, from 2 days ago. It shows a lot of character to play an innings like that when you're being criticized so heavily.
Yeah, no, I think definitely. And I think which player doesn't get criticized? I mean, these things happen so much. Even if you look at the IPL, you get so many players who are, they have a big question mark next to them when the teams get announced, like, oh, this person got sold for this much. And then you're questioning, like, oh, some people are questioning, why is this person getting sold for this much? I remember when the auction happened, the figures that were coming out, it was just, some people were questioning it. But what you have to understand is that it's not your performance isn't just based on just one game. Like, you have to build up to it. And sometimes I feel like we are a little bit too critical. We have this expectation of these players, which is all fine. Like, it's a game, it's sports. That's a whole whole point of it. But I think we need to give them a little bit of more credit. You go out there, sometimes you have a bad day, sometimes you have a good day. I mean, even Sachin didn't always used to make a century or half a century, and all these other players like Brian Lara, all these guys, I mean, they all had bad days as well. But I think David Malan, he's exceptional. He's like well and truly back in form. And again, like, I think he's another person who I think England should be taking to the T20 World Cup. I mean, he is a fantastic player who I think is probably going to get them somewhere in that tournament.
Yep, still ranked world number 1, obviously, and still today, in fact, he became the fastest to 1,000 T20 runs at the best strike rate as well. And only 2 players have scored 1,000 T20 runs and got an average plus. Who can guess who the other player is?
Kohli.
Yep, correct. Yeah. Who averages 48.05? Who knows this one? Babar is the right answer.
Bobby,
yes, only Pakistani cricket tragics would know that one. So, this it's a really good point because Malan it's a curious case. Now, Anam recommended the video to me by Jared Kimber, and if you've not seen it, I highly recommend looking it up. It's called "The Luck of David Malan" on YouTube, and it's brilliant. He literally breaks down his statistics, his strike rates in different forms of the game, in different environments, and against different kinds of bowlers. And there's so much data. It just made me think, Armaan, the amount of data that is available to people these days is insane. The stats that you can get. There was a point today where in our group chat I was talking about Chris Jordan, and in my mind, Chris Jordan's a great death bowler. And I'm immediately, well, look at the stat from CricViz. Look, he's got like an economy of 13. I genuinely feel that stats are a little bit over-egged, and we hold them in slightly too much of a regard. I'm curious to know what you think. Are stats the be-all and end-all, and we just bow to stats and stats are everything? Or do days like today, in particular David Malan's performance, prove that sometimes stats don't tell you the whole story?
Listen, when it comes to stats, they can't tell you the whole story because they're never giving you the context for the game situation. As we've discussed earlier, you compared strike rates in a previous show of ours. When you bat second, the strike rate is not the metric you need to look at, but it will be counted in historical strike rates when you look back, because the strike rate just needs to match the strike rate of the team in the first innings and you will win the game. So you don't need to go above and beyond because the objective is not the highest strike rate, it's to win a game. So statistics can definitely be taken out of context to prove a lot of things, right? And the other thing is this, when you start becoming so data heavy, I saw this on the Sky feed today, pre-match they were showing us this grid of stats of strike rates of where the ball pitches, and all these teams look at it. If it pitches as a Yorker length, it's this and that. They showed that Hardik Pandya's biggest weakness in terms of strike rate, which by the way was still over 110, was when you bowled it straight at him. And I just thought, hang on a minute, that's just ludicrous. And they were like, oh, watch England. England's plan will be to bowl straight. Hardik Pandya today batted superbly, got promoted up, and all he did, he knew they were going to bowl straight at him. He stepped back, straight ball, tonk, 6-6. So I guess what I'm trying to say is the greatest players in the world don't rely on statistics. What they rely on is see ball, hit ball. And ultimately, the greatest players can look at plans, can get a feel for the game, get an instinct for what the challenge is, what the bowler's going to do, and then adapt. And that is what the skill of the game is. To rely solely on stats, if that's what Owen Morgan's doing, you've got no chance, mate. It is not going to happen. You've got to have cricketers that know how to play in-game, and you've got to play to win, not play for stats.
Well, Morgan did the opposite of that, actually, today. He played Malan, even though there were calls to drop Malan, because they didn't think they should have too many players like Malan in the lineup, that kind of drop anchor or whatever. But Malan proved the selection right. He didn't.
On that, can I just add something? How does the question even come to Malan? Bairstow's not scored all series. Owen Morgan can't get a run to save his life at the moment. Stokes isn't being used. They're not using Moeen Ali and playing plays like Sam Curran. But Malan tak kaise aati hai? Ultimately, he's still getting.
So they would argue.
When you say stats, Malan, no, he didn't use stats. He doesn't have anyone else to play up there. Malan is world-ranked #1 batsman of the world.
Hold on. So listen to me. So Malan has flopped in this series 4 times in a row by his own account, by everybody's account. Those batsmen, we just talked about this a minute ago. Those batsmen are not given the same platform that Malan is, because he's literally at the top of the card. He's number 3 in the batting lineup. He's going to see more of the game than a Morgan. You can't have the same expectation of an Owen Morgan coming in the 15th over to play the game as you can of a Malan coming in the 2nd over to play the game.
okay, so with Kohli, it's okay for him to have a slow start and pace his innings, and we call that a match-winning innings. And the margins in cricket are tight. Yeah, sometimes he's got a start in every game, by the way. He's not giving his wicket away in the first over in most of the games. He's batted 15, 17. The problem with Malan is he hasn't gone on. That's been his problem. So ultimately, if I'm England, I'm not relying on the fact that, oh my God, he's getting a start and not going. I'm really worried about people that aren't even getting a start.
So that's not the problem most have had with Milan. The problem with Milan is not that he's not gone on; it's that he's taken too long and not made anything of it. So the problem is.
So for me, I feel like because he doesn't play Test, he's a T20 specialist. I think, you know what, he's getting a harder deal here from a lot of fans and maybe a lot of people within the system as well. But I would really look at Johnny Bairstow before I even think about David Mann. Number one batsman ranked in the entire world. He's earned his place. Yes, and you know, Anushka said it very well. What, did Sachin score a century every year? Kohli's just coming off 3 ducks. He was getting outscored by Shan Masood, and he's just played 2 match-winning innings. Today, Malan was the only one standing for England. So with respect, I understand the criticism. It's going to happen at the highest level. And you know what? He's responded very well today. Unfortunately, none of the England batsmen matched up to it. That was my opinion. I respect anyone else who thinks that Malan, you know, maybe underperformed. I personally think he's earned the right to go to the World Cup, and he deserves the patience from the English selectors and the captain, who himself isn't scoring anything as well. So
the question was, sorry.
Can we also talk about KL Rahul? That reminds me of KL Rahul. Like, he's been so out of form as well. Like, what has he done? What has he done?
KL Rahul is out of touch at the moment, and I think it was suggested by a couple of people in the Indian setup to drop him sooner. Kohli did the same thing that Morgan did for the longest time, which is have faith in his top batsman, right? Malan has been England's top batsman. Morgan said we're going to persist with him. Kohli tried for the longest time to persist with KL Rahul. He gave him a really good pep talk after the 3rd game. In the 4th game, unfortunately for Rahul, he didn't perform again, and he was dropped today. And now whoever made that decision looks like a genius, because all of a sudden India, you know, they lost the toss. They still put 224 on the board, and they look good. But my question, which I don't know where you ended up with it, but essentially was about data and about people overstating data. The case was being made by many, and not me specifically or anybody, by many, that Malan wasn't contributing in that position, or he was counterproductive for England in that position. I don't agree with that, and Malan vindicated that today with his innings. My question is, do we take data too seriously? Is there too much of an emphasis on data and less instinctive analysis of a player? Anam, tell me, what do you think?
पाकिस्तान के साथ तो ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है. हम लोग तो डेटा, मतलब अब जाके सोच रहे हैं कि डेटा भी कोई चीज होती है, उसको इनकॉर्पोरेट करना है. तो हाँ, पाकिस्तान की बात करें तो फिर मुश्किल है. बट अच्छा, जोक्स अपार्ट, आई थिंक बहुत ज्यादा चीजें जो है ना वो डेटा ड्रिवन है अब. ठीक है, मैचअप्स आ जाते हैं. आपको पता है कि अच्छा, अगर वॉशिंगटन सुंदर आ रहा है तो लेफ्ट हैंडर के अगेंस्ट बॉल करेगा, यू आर रिलक्टेंट टू बॉल हिम इन फ्रंट ऑफ अ राइट हैंडर. तो इस तरह मैचअप्स डू वर्क well as well at times. लेकिन फिर वही बात है कि एक अच्छा क्रिकेटर जो है उसको अपनी वीकनेस को ओवरकम करके ही आप आगे जा सकते हो ना. तो फॉर एग्जांपल, अगर एक बैट्समैन की वीकनेस है कि वो वॉशिंगटन सुंदर को नहीं खेल सकता, फॉर एग्जांपल अगर एक लेफ्ट हैंडर है, तो भाई अगर वो उसके अगेंस्ट अच्छा खेलता है तो वो निगेट कर रहा है ना पूरी चीज को. बट टू बिगिन विद, मैचअप्स हैं, डेटा है, और वो विद टाइम अगर एक प्लेयर अच्छा खेलना शुरू हो जाता है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल डेविड मलान, आज अगर वो पिछले 4 मैचेस में नहीं चला, आज वो चल गया, उसी पोजीशन पे चला, और फ्रॉम द वर्ड गो आपको पता था कि आज ये स्कोर करेगा, क्योंकि ही लुक्ड इन दैट. एक जब प्लेयर अच्छी टच में होता है, आपको पता चल जाता है कि यार आज ये प्लेयर चल जाएगा. सेम वाज विद रोहित शर्मा. जब उसने आज शुरू में खेलना शुरू किया, यू न्यू कि आज शर्मा कुछ जो है ना तूफानी करेगा या कोई इसका सीन अच्छा होएगा. सो सेम गोज फॉर मलान एज वेल, बट वी कैन नॉट रूल आउट डेटा completely. As a Pakistani fan, maybe we can. हम instinct पे चलते हैं. And then I know you hate वो mercurial वाली scene as well, कि हम बड़े unpredictable हैं, ये वो. But हम ऐसे ही है ना, फिर हमें नहीं डेटा की कोई परवाह. बस अच्छा ठीक है यार, यहाँ पे चलेगा, चला दो. But overall, I think we're अब जाके हमें थोड़ा सा डेटा की PSL के बाद से हम लोगों के वो थोड़ा सा हमें समझ आ रहा है कि मैचअप्स कितने इंपॉर्टेंट हैं. डेटा बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर एक रोल प्ले करता है आपकी स्ट्रैटेजी के अंदर. जब आप ग्राउंड पे चले जाते हो, आई नो एक कैप्टन को पता है कि अच्छा अब सिचुएशन के मुताबिक आपको अपनी चीजें जो है उनको अप्रोच करना है. आपने अगर एक पहले से प्री सेट नोशन के साथ आप ग्राउंड में आए और ग्राउंड में आपको कुछ फॉर एग्जाम्पल 20 पर डी है, इंग्लैंड I like to emphasize on this as well. आज तेज बॉलिंग की वजह से इंग्लैंड को फेंटी पड़ी है क्योंकि दोनों आर्चर ने फिर थोड़ी स्लोअर वंस कराए थे. मार्क वुड वाज कंसिस्टेंटली हिटिंग हार्ड, ठीक है, वो बिल्कुल भी स्लोअर बॉल्स की तरफ नहीं आ रहा था. सो मे बी अगर उस वक्त ये थोड़ा सा अपनी अप्रोच चेंज करते और स्लोअर बॉल्स की तरफ आते, स्ट्रैटेजी थोड़ी डिफरेंट करते, तो शायद स्कोर थोड़ा कम होता.
Bilkul. In fact, the first thing Ben Stokes did when he came onto bowl was start bowling those slower balls. Maybe something there for Mark Wood. But you know what? We like pace is pace here. Anyway, the paces did good for India today. Now we talked a little bit about Bhuvi's first over, but he was really spectacular. Now every bowler that played today took some tap. Even Adil Rashid and Ben Stokes, they still went at an economy of upwards of 7 and 8, and obviously some of the England bowlers went at 10s and 12s. But Bhuvi Kumar, 15 runs, 3 overs, 4 overs, the 17 dot balls and 3 wickets. That is exceptional, Anushka. Like, do you like, how important, you're an Indian cricket fan, how important is Bhuvi Kumar to you? Because sometimes I feel like in the Jasprit Bumrah hype, he just gets kind of underappreciated a little bit. Is that the case?
Yeah, you're actually, to a certain extent, yes. And I think congratulations to Jasprit Bumrah as well, by the way. He just got married, which is why he's not playing. But I think it also gives like other, like when certain players aren't there, it gives the players who are playing their time to kind of shine as well. And look, you know, just going back to the stats thing as well, we're discussing stats, aren't we? Here we are, statistics, this is it. So they are important to a certain extent. They are very important. But going back to Bhuvi, he played such a major role today in getting that win. So, you know, I think kudos to him. Like, it was, I don't know, what do you want to call it? Destiny, luck that Bumrah wasn't playing today and he was. You know, so he had his chance and he did help India win. But when you look at stats, like Bhuvi's stats today, you do want to take it away with you. You want to go back to it and be like, oh, but he did so and so dot balls today. He kind of led the way for India to win. So I think stats are important. Bhuvi, he played an important role for it today. So I think, you do have to look at that. You have to look at it because going forward to the T20 World Cup, who's going to be selected? I hope Bhuvi's going to be there now.
Yeah, of course. You'd like to see Bhuvi in that first 11, but then, you know, what, are you going to drop Shardul Thakur, who looked fantastic?
Exactly. Do you want to drop him? No, because he took up, I think he took 2 wickets today as well. So you don't want to do that. Again, I think India have got such a brilliant selection of players that it sometimes gets difficult, as in who to pick and choose. And then, you know, we become like, अरे नहीं उसको लेना था, वो उसको क्यों नहीं खिला रहे, you know, उसको batting lineup में नीचे क्यों रखा हुआ है, and all of that. So it's difficult, but you know, we won today, so I'm happy.
I'm happy for you, Anushka. I'm happy for the Indian fans. Now, looking ahead though, Armaan, this could become an issue for India because, you know, okay, Jasprit Bumrah, he's got married and, you know, best of luck to him. Congratulations to him. But now all these new Indian bowlers have come through and started putting their hands up. I mean, Natarajan we saw for the first time today. He didn't look like a mug. He's definitely got something there. He's got the IPL. Now, let's say the IPL happens. Natarajan has a good IPL. Shardul Thakur has a good IPL. Jasprit Bumrah, sorry, I beg your pardon. Bhuvi continues to bowl as he bowls. And then a new talent all of a sudden pops up, as often does in the IPL. Let's say for sake of argument, it's Arjun Tendulkar. It won't be. But let's say for sake of argument, it's Arjun Tendulkar who becomes this breakthrough. Are India going to have to make some difficult choices? Is there any scenario where you can see India leaving out Bumrah or Bhuvi?
Yaar, 20 saal tak Tendulkar dominated cricket. As a Pakistani fan, please don't scare me that there's another Tendulkar on his way. That's the first thing I want to say.
This one's the bowler. Don't worry about him.
I lost track of the question after you mentioned Tendulkar. It sent a little bit of shockwaves in my body. One more time, please.
So I mean, because of the selection dilemma that India are going to be potentially going to be faced with, is there a scenario that sees either Bumrah or Kumar missing out?
Oh, most definitely. Let me tell you something, right? the game is full of really fine margin. Agar aaj khuda na khasta England 220 chase kar dete, you would have said, oh my God, we need Bumrah back in the team. This Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, he doesn't know what he's doing. Itne chance mile is bande ko, kabhi perform nahi karta. That would have been the thing. So you know what? Let's just calm down. England's batting really didn't set the world alight in this series, okay? There were pretty mediocre totals that they chased in the games that they won. And in the 2 games that they actually chased where they should have won, they actually ended up losing. They won the toss 4 times in this series, and they lost 2 of those games in 2 games that were basically deciders of the series. Let me tell you that. So their batting lineup is not something that Indian fans should be looking at their bowlers by and say, yaar, Bhuvi ko World Cup jana chahiye. You're going to come across far stronger challenges. There are better teams out there with stronger batting lineups. The New Zealands, the Australias, the Pakistan, the West Indies, that, on their off days, you know what, they will also collapse. Just like England haven't had a great series with the bat, in my opinion. So they will happen. But the days that they do very well, you know what, these bowlers today who you're saying were match winners and yaar Thakur aa gaya aur Nataranjan aa gaya aur ye aa gaya aur wo aa gaya, bhai ye sab ghar bhi jayenge. So let's not get carried away. There's a variance that happens in cricket. Everyone has a good day, and this team has played really well considering the fact that, you know, there were so many key players that were missing. And India's got so much talent, but please don't get carried away that these bowlers are going to suddenly now win the World Cup, and let's just stay calm. They played very well. And by the way, on just building on that in terms of your, you know, we were talking about data and everything. We're going to use this to go forward, right? Did Sachin use data? Did Lara use data? Did Bradman use data? Did Ponting? Yaar, aap data mein agar Malan ko bahar karoge, imagine khuda na khasta, you know, some idiot had used data and got rid of Sachin because he had tennis elbow and wasn't scoring for 5. See, it's ridiculous, yaar. Play the game of cricket. Stop talking about stupid stats. Stop getting carried away. This is going to be a great World Cup, great teams, and it's not going to be the team with the best data that wins it. I assure you.
Right? Can you answer the question now?
I did. That India, you know, India have to drop bowlers because
what was the question?
Before every game. So let's just. No, I'm not going to get carried away because Bhuvaneshwar Kumar and Shardul Thakur and Nataranjan played well against and got 4 wickets in a match where England lost in convincing fashion. Yaar, ye kaun si stats se aap apna World Cup ki team leke ja rahe ho? Of course they're going to get dropped. You're going to go with the Bumrahs. You're going to go with the maybe even the Ashwin might come back in. You might get the Jadeja. Maybe Ashwin won't because Jadeja is more of their wide ball player. So then you can't play 18 bowlers, can you? So let's just calm down. Keep performing. Have a good IPL. Go to England. Have a good series there. Then we'll talk.
Anam, same question, because I really don't feel like I got anything there.
मुझे तो याद भी नहीं कि क्वेश्चन क्या था अरमान ने इतना कुछ बोल दिया
देखो look, maybe I phrased it wrong, so I'll take responsibility for that. I'll do it again, ठीक है? Now अब देखो इस series में India के just backup seam bowlers है, they all performed. Like, you can say that England didn't play well or England didn't bat well, but on paper or not, they're the best team in the world, right? So these new bowlers came in, they got wickets at good times, they got good performances on what were, you know, mixed bags of wickets, some really good for batting, some not so much. And they've got the IPL to go, so they've got some room to create more goodwill for themselves. Is it possible, this is just a question, is it possible that one of them or any of them becomes so crucial to India? Well, I'm looking at Shardul Thakur specifically because he was so impressive, but also Natarajan, who already showed the glimpses. Is it possible that they get the nod ahead of Bhuvi or Bumrah?
बुमराह के आगे तो नहीं, आई डोंट थिंक सो. बुमराह तो सिर्फ इसी वजह से नहीं सीरीज में है क्योंकि उसकी शादी थी, अदरवाइज यू नो ही वुड नॉट हैव मिस्ड आउट ऑन द सीरीज. आई डोंट थिंक कि बुमराह को ड्रॉप कर सकते हैं. इट्स टू अर्ली टू से कि वो वर्ल्ड कप नहीं खेलेगा. बुमराह फॉर श्योर इज प्लेइंग द वर्ल्ड कप, एंड इवन भुवी आई थिंक डिपेंड्स ऑन द आईपीएल एज वेल नाउ. आई थिंक अगर हमें याद, इंडियन फैंस को तो होगा याद, भुवनेश्वर कुमार गॉट इंजर्ड ड्यूरिंग द आईपीएल स्टिंट लास्ट ईयर और ही गॉट ड्रॉप्ड आउट. तो वो अभी इंजरी के बाद वापस आया है. सो इट आल्सो डिपेंड्स कि उसकी आईपीएल अब वो कैसा खेलता है, उसकी सस्टेन कर पाता है, कोई और इंजरी तो नहीं आ जाती है. सो इट आल्सो डिपेंड्स ऑन दैट कि किस तरह से अपने आप को कैरी करता है आगे. मे बी भुवी एंड बुमराह कैन बी द गो टू अटैक फॉर इंडिया. ओपनिंग बॉलर्स हो सकते हैं.
Maybe they've got options. This is a big thing.
Yeah,
for India now.
It's a good headache to have, right? वो ऐसे ही बोलते हैं ना कि bench strength है, तो it's a good headache to have कि आपके पास बहुत ज़्यादा bench strength है. Yeah. It's a good headache.
इंग्लैंड के सिलेक्टर से पूछो जिनके पास हेल्स और विंस बैठे हुए हैं अभी खेल नहीं रहे, कितनी हेडेक होती है. अच्छा, listen guys, it's been a long time, so very quickly just to wrap up, Anushka, the one day series is about to kick off in 2 days. Very little turnaround time, but they're starting very, very quickly, and you know, India will go into with momentum. Give me your prediction. 3-match series. What will the final score be?
I'm going to say 2-1 to India.
Yeah, sensible prediction. Mr. 5-0, Armaan Kirmani, what's your prediction?
3-0 England. It has to be.
England.
Armaan.
Don't worry about him. He has to make terrible predictions. This is given. Anam.
मैं कैसे इंडिया को इतनी जबरदस्त टीम है कोई तो चांस दूसरों को दूं ना कोई तो होप दूं वरना कौन देखेगा मैच you know what you need that to be some conflict excitement imagine England win 3-0 क्या स्टोरी होगी 3-0 all day long.
Yeah, never forget the 5. I'm going to get a t-shirt for him. Anam, what do you think?
I think India will win 3-0 in the ODIs.
Wow. Okay, so you're going aggressively the other way. That's interesting. I'm gonna, just to tie that up, I'm gonna go the inverse of what Anushka said. I think 2-1 England. I do expect England. Now, England is a very strong T20 side, and they have a lot of depth. I think the biggest issue in the series was their players didn't get a close enough. You know, the players didn't get the right exposure at the right time. But in a 50-over game, I expect that to happen enough for them to topple India. Either way, it'll be very exciting. Our producer Arif, who got his prediction yesterday, by the way, about in the previous game about this game, he went for England as well. He said 3-0 England, so he's backing England for the 3-0. So you're not alone, Armaan. You got some company there.
But I won the series वैसे यहाँ पे. सारी predictions very ठीक थी, so yeah.
You did. So Anam got them all right one at a time. She got all the predictions right. And shout out to Nikesh Rugani and Ankur Desai, who both got the correct predictions as well. They said 3-2 India at the start of the series, and it did turn out 3-2 India. Who will be right when the one-day series starts? We will find out very soon. It kicks off in a few days. In the meantime, remember to subscribe and like and comment and all that stuff. A big, big thank you to our special guest today, Anushka Arora.
Thank you.
Did you have time?
Thank you so much. I had a blast. It was really fun. I really liked it. I think this was probably one of my first like cricket post-match analysis. Normally हम तो घर पे बैठ के post-match analysis करते हैं आपस में. So it was really nice to do this with you guys and get your opinions as well, which is lovely. So hope to do it again.
Well, we hope so too. It's lovely to have you. हम भी घर पे बैठे हैं वैसे ऐसे कोई बात नहीं है. Fantastic. Well, thank you.
Ask our guest one question. अनुष्का जी देखिए जब पाकिस्तान मैच जीतता है ना तो हम बिरयानी खाते हैं हम पाया खाते हैं हम हारता भी है तब भी खाते हैं लेकिन जब जीतता है तो खुशी में खाते हैं और आज क्योंकि लॉकडाउन है हम लोग बाहर नहीं जा सकते लंदन में तो आप मुझे जरा ये बताएं कि इंडियन फैंस जब जीतते हैं तो क्या आप लोग खाते हैं मैं भी जरा ऑर्डर करूं जरा एक इंडिया की जश्न मनाओ कि इंडिया आज जीती है खाने के साथ जरा बताएं प्लीज
लिस्ट दे सकती हूँ मैं पापड़ी चाट हो गई समोसे हो गए पकोड़े हो गए चिकन हो गया कबाब हो गए चिकन टिक्का हो गया तो बस यही है सब जो आप खाते हो वैसे कोई नॉर्मल है
ये सही है जो कबाब तक आप पहुंच गए ना सुभान अल्लाह वो पापड़ी चाट हमारा डिपार्टमेंट नहीं है लेकिन क्या करेंगे जो पापड़ी चाट खा रहा है पापड़ी चाट मुबारक हो जश्न मनाओ
very good we look forward to this like the Kings 11 Punjab have changed their name to the Punjab Kings. Yes. I'm expecting the Karachi Kings to change their name to the Kings 11 Karachi soon. Thank you so much guys again. Thank you Armaan, thank you Anam, thank you Anushka. My name's Aatif Nawaz. We'll catch you next time. Chat is done.